Hey friends, got some new builds to show off. I did 4 of them last night, so there'll be 4 videos popping up rapid fire. I don't know in what order they'll be up, except yeah, I built this one first, so it should be the first one. Then the anglerfish, then the radioactive, and then a new F-22. So, golf style build on this one. Golf colors once more. Brushed case, small coin bezel. Did a screen printed dial, custom AI screen printed dial, and a matching resin filled hour insert. So you can slightly see that it comes up around it, and then obviously at an angle you can tell that it has it's rounded. Just did a solid milled crown, solid milled case back, and then a custom painted with what do we call these? There's a technical term. I don't want to just say that the sides are sealed, but in a nutshell, that's kind of what it is. Edge paint sealed, custom stitch to match, and then this is actually custom painted to kind of give it that distressed look to it, and a nice little preview buckle on there. Did a set of white PloProf hands, just all one color. Orange was didn't necessarily clash with the cars, but there's already a lot orange going on there, so I figured that direction would look the best. And the blues that I have aren't baby blues; they're more of a solid dark blue, so didn't look right on that either. Just for reference on your loom, so these are drilled out and then backside loomed on the dial. And that is the build. Bezel on it will turn left, it'll turn right. These are tension ring bezels. These are not click style bezels. And obviously a click might not make as much sense unless you're counting down hours or setting it more of like a GMT style and going, oh, okay, well, that's what time it is for this person over here. But anyway, automatic mechanical, you've got a rotor in the back, and as you're moving around, it keeps time. But if you are not going to be very active, driving all day, etc., make sure you wind it a little bit. You're going to want to wind it a little bit before you set your time anyway, because if it is completely dead and you pick it up and just set the time and put it on, if you're not moving around very much, it's not going to really be running until you are. So, back the crown off the threads until you hear it and feel it clicking. And you'll see that you come slightly off the crown tube. You'll see you've got a little bit of play there. You know you're not connected, is what I'm getting at. At that point, you can wind. And when you wind, you're turning it that way. You'll be able to hear it and feel it clicking. That's your wind. When you turn it back towards you, it does not wind it, but it is a lot easier to keep your finger spacing and go back and forth. And I also think I did something cool in here. I know we have that nice solid case back on it, so, but I'm gonna check something out real quick because I can tell just the way it's winding that it is slightly different. Normally I gotta get something to kind of pop under there. I don't have any fingernails, so. And it does make it a little bit more tough when you've got your strap on there. Well, never mind. I actually thought, well, there's the rotor, so I can show off. The way it was winding, I have these gilded movements. And I was like, is this one of the ones I put the gilded movement in? Because it has a little bit different of a click to it. But no. So the thing that I described, so as you're moving, I always show this. You got a nice little BVW on there that you don't actually get to see. So as you're moving, that's spinning, right? So as you can see, this is pretty easy to get back. And what's cool with these, so I can actually show you since I opened it up. Crown releases right there, that little hole, once you have it in the time setting position. But anyway, this is a gasket that sits inside here, and these use compression. So you know, if you've taken a watch off, sometimes in the threads of the case back, it's got a gasket in there, and it kind of stretches as you put it on there, and you're told if you take it off, you want to put a new gasket in there because that gasket's now stretched and it's no longer waterproof. Well, the difference with these is this uses compression, right? So these are hooved as well as the glass. And at depth, what happens with these is they compress and they get even tighter and tighter and tighter. So you never have to replace that gasket because it's just pushing against it. It's not twisting against it, right? So you never have to worry about replacing your gaskets unless they're like, you know, just really old, something along those lines. Okay. All right, that is tight enough for me to start using this. But yeah, so now you get to kind of see back there. For whatever reason, I was thinking this was a gilded movement and that I had put on before. I did one of these with one of my gilded movements because I was running low. Oh, I did it in the F22. I was like, I did it in one like super special. Forgetting that I bit the F22 is a custom one-off. That'll never happen again in a series. So it has that in there. But now you get to see that back there, right? So winding it backwards and forwards, right? So anyway, if you do this for 4 or 5 seconds before you put it on, that mixed with your rotor movement in the back will keep your time throughout the day. But if you're going to be driving all day, sitting at a desk all day, you can sit there and go a little bit longer and max out your 31 plus hour power reserve on it. You cannot overwind it. It's got a slipping mainspring, so once it's at capacity, you can keep winding it, and you won't know that you're at capacity. It's just deflecting that, not putting anything more to that mainspring. Fully wound and set down and then checked on later. These normally run for like 34, 35, 36 hours. Which is what I do to make sure that the hands are set properly, that there's no friction, that they actually run throughout. And so once you're happy with your winding, you're going to pull it to the one and only click, and you can now set your time. Now you do not have a hacking movement, so it's going to keep going. You'll also notice you've got a wobble crown, stem straight, but you've got like a little ball head where it connects to the crown. That deflects lateral pressure from going into the stem and into the movement. So when you're pushing and prying on it, you're not deflecting, you're not putting any adverse pressures on anything. And also, side note, it dislodges once it screws in here, which you can't quite tell, but actually, maybe you can quite tell. So you can see how that moves back and forth like that? That's all part of it, right? We're still in a winding situation. Because here, we're still in a time setting position. When you're down here, you're disengaging from that, but you're not back into a wind position. You have to re-screw it all the way back down to re-engage that crown into that winding position. But while I was showing you that, just for any of those who are curious, what that does is if you ever impact to the crown, it doesn't transfer through the stem into the movement. So if you'd ever drop your watch or something like that right on the crown, it actually doesn't transfer it in because of how that wobble crown disengages. So since I thought I've already shown you the movement and showing you some stuff, might as well tell you a little bit more about some of the reasons why I like to use this movement, and have kind of elaborated on the what we can do on this platform, what I can do on the platform to continue to keep pushing out cool watches, and why I like to stay on it. So, okay, Google, what time is it? 6:35 a.m. And then you push it over, get it out of that time setting, and then wind it down. And this Italian leather is super soft and super pliable. You will really like it a lot. Backside of it's just done in a nice black. And then you really get to see that color, that stitching against the black. I guess you see it really well against orange, but it's funny, sometimes you'll get a thread color and you're like, oh, that's perfect. But when you put it against a leather, you're like, oh, it doesn't really match. And it's just, I don't know, they're just not vibing well together or not showing off true color. But I guess it translates exactly the same. I do feel it looks a little brighter against the black. But so that's the build. As with every build, you're going to get matching beads. This one, I was able to buy some golf stickers, and then what we did was we did a custom white box, put them over it, and then kind of sealed against it to where it's like, should stay for quite a long time. Threw in an Atlas style watch pillow because I figured, you know, the style of watch, I don't know, kind of made me feel like worldly with the golf logo and racing. So, but that's the build. As with every build, you're going to get watch cleaner. This is good on all glass and metal parts, so everything here in the center, non-streaking, non-toxic, non-residue, as well as a microfiber. You're also going to get leather conditioner to use if that strap ever feels off, you know, hard. Shouldn't ever, but if it does, use this. Use a rag or something along those lines. Do not use one of your microfibers. And then lastly, some fine scratch remover. This is Novus 2 from Amazon, just repackaged. It comes in a massive tube, and I just put some in these little throwaway tubes. But this is like Polywatch. It's for your acrylic glass. That acrylic glass that compresses at depth that I was referencing before. You can scratch it, but if you do, it's not a big deal. You'll put a tiny bit of this on it, and I'm including a color-matched microfiber, so you know which one to use. And just buff it out. You're going to kind of fill that scratch, haze it, buff it out, and it should be relatively gone or like not noticeable. But if it is still noticeable, wait just a little bit, let that solidify and come back, because you're kind of building back up what you've scratched out. So if you did kind of divot it a little bit, you might want to like hit it a few times. I've never really had anybody like full break one. I've had some deep gouges. So if you get a really deep gouge, you did something you shouldn't have, chances are I'm going to have to replace the acrylic for you. But that's it. That's the build. And if it's going to you, congrats. Appreciate you a ton. I hope you love it. And I hope you enjoyed the video, because I don't usually get into some of that stuff. But I thought, oh, this crown feels a little bit tighter. And sometimes I just feel that way. But on the gilded movements that I use, they're always kind of that way. And I don't know why. And I was like, oh, wait, I used the gilded movement. But I actually didn't use the gilded movement, so that's all right. Some of them are just like that. But now you got to kind of see what's in the back. So that's the build. If it's going to you, thank you so much for your support. I hope you love it. And if you want me to build you something custom and unique, reach out and I'll see what I can do. And if you want to continue to see videos like this, like and subscribe, as I put them up all the time. Thanks, guys.